Poland informs Ukraine of serious misjudgment. Kiev criticized Warsaw for unacceptable remarks by senior Polish official. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki has asserted that Ukraine committed a significant error by summoning the Polish envoy in response to statements made by a high-ranking presidential staff member. The staffer had suggested that Kiev should express greater gratitude for the substantial foreign aid it has received. Morawiecki conveyed his perspective in a tweet on Tuesday, emphasizing that the summoning of the Polish ambassador was unwarranted. He noted Poland's consistent support for Ukraine since the outbreak of the conflict with Russia the previous year. Morawiecki stated, "In the realm of international politics, especially during an ongoing war, and considering the substantial support that Poland has extended to Ukraine, such errors should be avoided." He emphasized his commitment to safeguarding Poland's reputation, its security, and prioritizing the interests of the Republic of Poland above any other nations. The Prime Minister's response swiftly followed the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry's summoning of the Polish ambassador to Kiev, Bartosz Sieciaki. The summoning was prompted by recent remarks from Marcin Posiadacz, the head of the International Policy Bureau within the Polish presidential administration. Posiadacz defended Poland's ban on importing Ukrainian grain, asserting that it would be appropriate for Ukraine to acknowledge Poland's contributions over recent months and years. Ukraine reacted negatively to these comments, with Foreign Ministry spokesperson Oleg Nikolenko remarking that the statements about Ukrainian ingratitude toward Poland's assistance were unfounded and thus unacceptable. Andrzej Sybiga, the deputy head of the Ukrainian president's administration, also criticized the baseless claims that Ukraine fails to appreciate its neighbors' support. Polish Foreign Minister Paweł Jablonski dismissed the criticisms from Kiev, maintaining that Poland's policies are driven by Polish interests. He highlighted the substantial assistance Poland has provided to Ukraine over the past year. During the earlier stages of the conflict with Moscow, the EU reduced quotas and tariffs on Ukrainian agricultural exports to bolster Ukraine's economy. However, this influx of inexpensive grain into the EU's common market triggered protests from farmers in Eastern Europe. Initially, 5 EU member states, including Poland, implemented their own restrictions on Ukrainian grain, which were later adopted as a formal ban by the entire EU. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky called on Brussels to lift these restrictions by September 15, deeming the policy inconsistent with European principles. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal also singled out Poland's stance as unfriendly and populist. Why didn't the UK's game-changing missiles assist Ukraine's breakthrough in counterattacks? The effectiveness of the Storm Shadow cruise missile seems to have been limited in combat within Ukraine, as reported by the U.S. Insider on August 1. This evaluation comes after 3 months since the UK supplied this missile type to Kiev. Initially, the Bayraktar TB2 drones were deployed, followed by the HIMARS rocket artillery, and most recently, the Storm Shadow missiles. All these armaments were eventually countered by Russia and have lost their potency on the battlefield, as highlighted by the Insider. The UK furnished Ukraine with Storm Shadow cruise missiles in May, envisioning that they could be a game-changer and contribute to a significant advancement in Ukraine's counterattacks. However, in practice, the Ukrainian military executed 2 counter-offensives, one in June and another in late July, but both failed to yield a breakthrough. In recent times, Ukraine reportedly launched 12 Storm Shadow missiles, yet they only inflicted minor damage on the Chongar railway bridge, linking the Crimea Peninsula to the Kherson province. No substantial evidence supports the notion that Storm Shadow missiles have inflicted harm on Russian assets or forces at the front lines. Michael Kaufman, an expert from the Carnegie Peace International Foundation based in the U.S., commented, "We haven't observed a significant impact of the Storm Shadow missiles on Russian forces at the front lines. This is partly due to Russia's capacity to counter and adapt tactics." Kaufman further notes that the effectiveness of the Storm Shadow missiles utilized by Ukraine is notably inferior to the achievements of the HIMARS rocket artillery during the summer of 2022. Furthermore, Ukrainian aircraft encounter challenges when launching missiles due to Russia's dense deployment of anti-aircraft systems. Russia's medium and long-range air defense systems can detect Ukrainian fighter jets before they release Storm Shadow missiles. With cutting-edge radar technology and electronic warfare systems, including radar systems with anti-stealth capabilities like Storm Shadow, Russia remains a global leader. The niobium radar, also known as the Sky Scanner, used in the Ukraine conflict, has an operational range of up to 500 kilometers. This radar system has consistently assisted Russian forces in timely responses, repelling aerial assaults by Ukraine. Additionally, it is believed that Russia's air defense systems successfully neutralized Storm Shadow missiles in the Syrian battlefield in 2018. Consequently, Russia continues to confidently counter this missile model in Ukraine. U.S. military expert Michael Peck proposes that Russia appears to have adjusted its strategy for deploying supply lines and weapon caches to minimize vulnerability against enemy attacks, particularly from Storm Shadow missiles. As a result, Ukraine has predominantly utilized the cruise missiles supplied by the UK to target fixed infrastructure, such as bridges. Nevertheless, the recent attack on the Chongar railway bridge on July 29 demonstrated that nearly all Storm Shadow missiles were intercepted by Russia.